Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Land of Brand Laboratory, or as we like to call it, the LOBoratory. This is your... All right, it's telling me I just went live, but I already started the introduction. So I'm going to start over again just to make sure you guys get it. Hello, this is Holly Chantal, the founder of the Land of Brand, and you are on the Land Laboratory, or as we like to call it, the LOBoratory for short. And basically what this is a weekly call where we meet every Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern time, and we talk about different experiments or strategies in your brand. So how you can build a brand that stands out online and attracts the attention of your ideal clients. And obviously one of the biggest pieces, or the biggest piece of your brand, or it's the reflection of your brand, is your website. And in the past, we've done website reviews where we looked at structure and graphics and layout and strategy with your website. And typically when we're doing that, we're not looking at the actual content itself because that is a little bit more of a labor-intensive process. And so I thought it might be fun to try to do that on one of these calls. Every week I have copy workshops for our clients that are working on their website copy. So we do this every week. So it's something that I'm pretty familiar with, but I've never done it on a laboratory call for a couple of reasons. One, it's a little bit more difficult to critique copy than just an overall structure because you literally have to read it word for word. So we'll see how this goes. If you guys want to do it again, we certainly will. If you guys are bored out of your mind listening to me read copy and give you critiques, then please let me know by shooting me an email. So this in and of itself is an experiment. And basically what we're going to do is look at copy that was submitted to me by 3 volunteers that are fellow Mad Brand scientists. We sent out an email last week and for submissions. And we're going to look at the overall structure, the wording, and how to structure your website content. So I'm actually going to start off with a short presentation about the purpose of your website, things that you should be paying attention to, things that your clients are paying attention to, and then how a very basic structure for a sales page. So this will give you a little bit of context into what we're actually looking for. So let's go ahead and swap over to the presentation. And if you have questions as we're going, or any questions, any discussion, things you'd like to add, then on the right-hand side of your dashboard, there is space for the chat. So you can type in the chat and I will see that. You can also, I think there's a questions button that you can type in and actually ask a question. Feel free to chat publicly, or you can message me privately, and we will look at those at the end. Because there is going to be a slight delay from when I'm talking to when you're actually hearing it and then you typing in the question. So by the time I see the question, I may have moved on. So any question you ask, I will answer at the very end. All right, so let's go ahead and make this full screen. Okay. So just a little bit of context here. We want to look at the basic strategy of a website and then the basic strategy of website pages. So when someone lands on your website or a interior page, you have to think about where they're coming from. So they have a problem, they typed into Google to look for the answer to that problem. Your website came up. That's a typical path. Or they were sent to your website by a friend or social media or various avenues. But the point is they come on onto your website and you have just a few seconds to capture their attention. They need to know immediately that they're in the right place, or they're going to click away and start looking for another website that's going to serve them, because we make these decisions very, very quickly. And we've talked about that before on the website reviews. And that's why, having a quality design and having things laid out strategically is very, very important, because you want to control where the eye is going and give very clear next steps for that visitor to keep them on your site. but that's, like I said, a topic for another day. So let's look at content-wise what needs to go on your website. So these are the top 3 questions visitors ask when they land on your page, and this is what makes the decision on whether or not they're going to stay or leave. So the first question is, do you serve me? So the target market for that page must be immediately apparent. And we're not talking about the target market for your business. We're talking about for that specific page, which may vary page to page. Or not the target market will vary, but the ideal client for that page may vary page to page. Because if I'm selling a program that's geared toward novice coaches, the target market for that page is novice coaches versus an advanced coach or someone that is already having a lot of success. The language that I'm using on that page needs to speak to that difference. So it's important that it's immediately apparent who this is for right from the get-go. The second question they ask is, do you solve the problem that I'm looking for help with? So that means that they need to understand right away that you do understand their problem and you have the solution. And the problem must be in their language, so how they would describe it, using examples that is in their lives. Because if you're using it in your language, you might be using jargon or unfamiliar terms or just terms that are too, quote unquote, coachy. And they're not going to immediately understand that you really get them. They're just going to think that they're being sold to, or that you're just giving general information. But when you can really speak to a client and the problem they have, you're really going to hook their attention. And then the third question I ask is, do you seem like you're any good at it? So in a design sense, the quality of your design really determines at first glance whether or not you appear credible or not. However, from a content standpoint, this is still important. Your methodology must make sense. You can promise them a solution to their problem, but if how you're getting there doesn't make sense or isn't clear, it's maybe a little vague, you're not going to hook their attention quite as much, and they may leave, and at the very least, they're not going to buy your program. So those 3 things are critical when looking at your website content. So then these are the 3 questions you need to ask when you are writing a page or when you're planning a page. First question is, who is coming to this page? So in your mind, you're thinking the target market plus where they are in your sales cycle. So who is the ideal client that I'm trying to reach, and where are they in my sales cycle? Is this for someone that has never heard of me before, which would be your homepage? Or is this for someone that is in a continuity mastermind program? They've already worked with me. Because the language you're going to be using to speak to those 2 different audiences is very different. You might be able to use a little bit of jargon or some words that you use in your specific coaching program with someone that's already worked with you before. So you need to keep that in mind before you write the page. What do I want them to do? So what is the call to action of this page? And you want to make sure that's clear and that there's only one. And then the third question is, how am I going to get them to do it? So how am I going to get them to take that action? And everything on the page needs to lead up to and not detract from that call to action. That means you may need to remove things from some pages, such as if you have a sales page that is selling one of your high-priced programs, maybe you want to take off the sidebar on that page because you don't want them to be clicking away to view your other pages or whatever kind of advertisements, or even the opt-in box on that page is not the main focus. You want to keep their eye on the content and use the content to bring them down the page and get to that call to action where they contact you or they purchase or whatever it is that is the next step for them to engage you. So now we're going to look at the home page versus a sales page, because in the copy that we're going to review, I have, I think, 2 home pages and a couple sales pages that we're going to look at. So on the home page, the number 1 goal is to start a conversation. So that means that you want to get them to opt in. You want to get them to engage you in a free way, which is usually by giving them your email address. Sorry, giving you their email address in exchange for something free. And that freebie is going to demonstrate your value, demonstrate who you work with and what you do, and it's going to engage them in conversation. Now they've basically given you the green light to start talking to them about what you do because they're interested. They've raised their hand that they have that problem and they're interested in what your solution might be. So that's how you start a conversation on the homepage. The homepage is also your branding page. So this is really the core piece of design. This page is going to have the most graphical interest on it. And at a glance, they should know who you serve and what you do. So that's why the home page is not necessarily a squeeze page. A squeeze page is basically a page that only has an opt-in, no other buttons or anything. That's different than a home page which has an opt-in front and center, but it also might have secondary buttons that show them what your other offerings are. So it's a very fine balance that takes a designer to strike. But this is the strategy pieces that you want to have in place on the homepage. And then a very basic structure for a sales page, and I want to put the emphasis on very basic because this is a structure that any of you should be able to write to. In a real life sales page, so if you and I were working on writing your content, we would get much more complex than this. If we're writing a sales page or an about page, those kinds of things, we would, there's a few other steps in here. But I want to leave you with something today that you could take and start implementing on your website right away. So the first step would be to introduce the problem the reader is facing. So right away in that first paragraph, they know what the problem is that this page is geared toward and who it's for. And that way you've answered those two questions, right, in who it's for, and that you solve the problem they have right in the get-go. Then you introduce the result if they were to solve that problem. So now we're looking at the other side of the coin. What would their life look like if that problem went away? And then you introduce the solution for how they would solve the problem. So this is the problem you're having. This is what your life would look like if you didn't have that problem. And this is what you would need to do in order to do that. In order to get that result, this is what it takes. And then you introduce your program as the answer to that solution. So this is what it would take to get that result, and this is what my program does. So this is how I personally get you there. And as I said on the first slide, your methodology must make sense. So you want to give enough information that they understand what it is you do, a little bit about how you get there, and that it makes sense. But you also don't want to overload them with too much extraneous information that doesn't lead to the call to action. So all you want them to do is take whatever the step is. Typically, since I'm talking to a lot of coaches here, typically your coaching program is going to be higher priced. So your call to action is probably not going to be to purchase coaching from you right then, because you may need to determine how long you're going to be working with them, or payment plans, or the specific kind of coaching program they should be in. So the call to action may be to fill out an application or to contact you so that you can have a conversation. So the only information you need to provide is enough that they have enough information to make the decision that they want to talk further. So they're pretty sure that they want to do this. Now all they need is to understand kind of have a conversation with you to get to know you and kind of break the ice. And now they're going to figure out, what does the process look like? How does it work? Like all of those feature questions that may not necessarily be in your copy and don't need to be in your copy. All right, so that is my very, 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 very basic structure for a sales page that most people can write on their own. And I just want to reiterate, because a few of you are coming in late, that this is not a structure, this is not the only structure. There's definitely more you could put in here that would help move a prospect to making a sale much quicker. But that's the kind of thing that we would have to, you typically either are going to take a copywriting course to learn or are going to work with a coach. And this is something that we do in our web copy workshops. So let's go ahead and look at some copy. All right, and this thing's taking up my whole screen, so give me 1 second. Okay, So we're literally only going to look at copy. We're not going to look at, we're not going to be looking at home pages and layouts because I really want to focus on the words. So I've written, or I've copied and pasted a lot of the content from the sites that were submitted, and then we're going to break it down. So this is the home page for Life, I think it's Life Bliss Solutions, or Life Bliss, I can't remember the rest of the name of the company. Sorry about that. And so at the top, there's the logo, and then there's the tagline. And the tagline is wellness and sensuality for a delicious lifestyle. So your tagline, you want it to speak to the message that you have and the kind of why people should be hiring you. And this is a delicious tagline. Wellness and sensuality for a delicious lifestyle. That just feels juicy. So right away, you start to get a feeling from this page on what you're going to get. And Lisa, who is the author of this site, that is her. So this is a really good branding statement. I like that. So then we get down to the actual content. So right below the navigation, there is a nice big chunk of content, and the headline is a healthy lifestyle can be simple and luxurious. So that is right away, you know what the solution is that you're looking for, which is feeling healthy in a simple and luxurious way. So that is good. Then we move into the actual content itself. So it's true. This is where women who are at risk for developing jankified lifestyle-induced illnesses and love good food turn things around with a simple, real food, healthy eating plan that makes them feel more like an indulgent goddess than prisoners in healthy crap hell, so that they can eliminate those health risks, lose weight, and ace their next physical exam. So right from the get-go, we know who this is for and the problem that they're having. The one problem with this paragraph is that it is a paragraph that is all one sentence. So I think with just a little punctuation, this could be a really good opening. And then the next part is you're smart, you're successful, but you need the knowledge, tools, and logistical support to get you and your family grubbing like foodies, exercising without hating it, and feeling vibrant, energized, and sexy in your favorite old jeans again. Delicious. That is, we have the results statement. So these are the results that they're going to get if they solve that problem. And then get some free online real foodie lifestyle coaching for important skills and insight to start changing your life right now permanently and without all the pain and suffering. This is where you lose me. So we started off really strong with the problem, the result that they're looking for. The language is so fun, so full of personality. It creates a real feeling around the brand. But then the call to action, we don't know what this is. So you're offering free online coaching. Now I'm asking myself, what is online coaching? What is it that I'm signing up for? What is going to happen when I click that button? And those kinds of questions and those kinds of fears are going to keep me from pushing that button. The other thing that's kind of interesting about this page is that this is essentially an opt-in. So this is an opt-in offer. And we probably could have made that a little bit clearer more up front, up top. So the headline could speak to getting something for free. And that's going to make me read this. I'm going to be much more likely to read this. So if you change the headline to, a get your free to discover how to live a healthy style that is simple and luxurious. And then you have this copy. And then at the bottom, you have your subscribe button. And instead of get some free real foodie style lifestyle coaching, change that to an actual product. So an actual name of a product where they will learn, boom, 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 subscribe now. So just make it much more clear what it is they're going to get when they subscribe that button. What is going to happen? And the other thing, this is just a note for Lisa, when you click that button, it goes to, it gives you an error because they're clicking on the button without submitting the name and email address, and it looks like the name and email address are set as required. So instantly, once you click that button, you get an error that you did something wrong. And all they have to do is put their name and email address in on that page, and it works. But if my first experience of you when I click that button is that I did something wrong, again, I'm scared and I'm going to click away. So you want to make this a luxurious process. You want to make it easy. You want to hold their hand through the process. So that is the home page. So she checked most of the boxes. Target market, the problem you solve, the language and the results that she's promising is good. We just need to work on that call to action. And the homepage, the #1 call to action is that opt-in, and this was front and center, so that is good. So now let's look at the services page. So I've only taken excerpts here because we don't want to review, if we review one piece, you can pretty much apply that to the rest. So this is just an excerpt from the services page, which is essentially a menu. The services page just has her 3 services listed with these little paragraphs, which is a great way to lay this out. So Nutrilicious lifestyle coaching. Here we have that really fun language again. So do this if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and ready for a complete lifestyle makeover. You've taken a few tiny steps in the wrong wellness path, and you need a personalized, comprehensive, intense 3-month coaching plan to back it up. Turn around and get your health, energy, beauty, and peace of mind back on track. Again, we really need to work on the punctuation because when you read this out loud, it's just one really long sentence. So when you're writing a synopsis, you do want to identify who this is for and what the result is going to be. So you've kind of done that here. So the target market is people that are sick and tired. They just don't feel well, and they're ready for a complete red lifestyle makeover. This might be kind of a leap because a complete lifestyle makeover is going to sound pretty drastic. And when you say you've taken a few tiny steps in the wrong wellness path, so we're saying that we've just gone a little bit out of the way, but we need a comprehensive, intense 3-month coaching plan to fix it. Those two things don't match up. So we want to make sure that the language makes sense. So if you've taken a few tiny steps in the wrong direction, then maybe you're going to need a much less intense program. So you want to make sure that the language that you're speaking to the problem is right on. So if I asked you right now, have they really taken only a few tiny steps? Probably not. You need to be upfront with what is going on in their life, give a solid example for the problem that they're having, and that this is the solution they need. Because really all this page is for them to self-select kind of which of these programs fits me best. And then I'm going to click on that and go to the actual sales page. So hopefully that helps a little bit there. And then if I click the read more, this is what I get. This is the sales page for Nutrilicious Lifestyle Coaching. So let's go back to and remember the structure, which is introduce the problem, introduce the result if they were to solve that problem, introduce the solution, and then introduce your program as the solution. So the headline is Eating for Complete Wellness. That headline could be much stronger if you were to write like a how-to or why eating is the key to complete wellness, or something that's going to add a little bit more intrigue and as well as give them the result. So then we get into the body. So a Nutrilicious lifestyle is one that revolves around using nutrition plus delicious food to lose and maintain a healthy weight, gain energy, and promote natural beauty. So then she goes into describing what Nutrilicious lifestyle is. And if we look at that structure, you've jumped all the way down to introducing your solution. So we've skipped introducing the problem, introducing what the result would be of solving that problem, and we've skipped right to what is the solution. So you've lost a lot of people because now we're just explaining what this means instead of is it for me? So that's kind of one of the questions I'm asking as a reader on this page is, is this for me? Do you solve the problem I have? Do you seem like you're any good at it? So you've skipped right to the methodology part, which is what if you're any good at it, which, this is a good description of what you do. It's a good description of why you do it. Fantastic, but we need to add a little bit of buffer before that. So why do this? Science has proven again and again that although eating well and getting exercise are both important for weight loss and maintenance, healthy eating has significantly higher impact on weight than exercise alone. I think that this could be probably restructured just a little bit. So science has proven again and again that although eating well and getting exercise are both important, so science is saying that you have to eat well and get exercise, and then you're kind of positioning it against eating healthy is better than exercise alone. So you're kind of disproving something that you didn't say. So I would just restructure this a little bit, make it shorter and punchier because you want your bullets to be similar length to each other. So I would try to keep those to each, keep these to about 2 sentences each, or 2 lines each rather. It doesn't have to be sentences. So science has proven again and again that although eating well and getting exercise are both important for weight loss and maintenance, I would say healthy eating, it has a much higher impact on its own, or something like that, to try to tighten that up. It can be difficult to work out the logistics of incorporating your doctor's dietary recommendations into your busy style. So this isn't really telling me why you should do this program. You're basically just telling me a problem. So we want to turn that around to how is this program going to solve that? What we eat directly and immediately affects how energetic we feel and how beautiful and healthy we look. So again, let's make these a little bit more direct. If I'm asking you, why should I be doing this? Then you need to be giving me the answers in as if you were answering that question. So if I ask you, Lisa, why should I do this program? Because what you eat directly and immediately affects how energetic you feel and how healthy and beautiful you will look. So we want to make sure that we're directing this to the reader. You're engaging them. Thanks to corporate interests, it's very difficult to sift through health. So again, you need to put this into context that you're going to help them with this. So you can't do this alone. You need my help. So let's just turn these around to be much more action-oriented and specific to why they should be hiring you as a person, or as a coach rather. In this program you'll get, so these are the features of the program. What I would do to each of these features is to add a benefit. So recipes based on your own preferences, so that ... Like, why does this matter? Why should the recipes be based on my own preferences? And I know from talking to you, Lisa, that this is to help them stay on track because they can't force themselves to change their diet. So you want to make that clear. The more you can explain the reasoning behind why you're doing these things the way you are, and the reason behind why they want these features, the better it's going to be. So we don't just want to list, these are all the things you're going to get. We want to talk about why. And contact me to get started. That's a very simple call to action. That's great. And this links to, I believe, either her contact page or her email page, and her email address. So that is our first copy review. Let's go ahead and move on to other page. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead and type those in. While I'm opening up the next page. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so let's go ahead and jump into the next page. So this time we only have a home page. And just to put it into context, this page is basically a long scrolling sales letter page. There's a squeeze page right before it. So I believe that's why the opt-in is not front and center. So I just want to let you know that that's why I'm not addressing that there is not a prominent opt-in offer page. This is more, I think this is more of a selling a service page, which I believe that the homepage would still be better served if it was more of a kind of showed at a glance the different offerings and that you're a coach and maybe still have the opt-in offer. But let's look at the content of this page as a sales letter because that's kind of the context it's in right now. So the name and tagline, the business of spirit, business building inspired by spirit. So that's a little redundant, and I'm not really getting a message here. So you might want to work on the branding pieces of what is your message, why do you do what you do, why do you do it the way you do, and try to boil that down into a tagline that is really going to compel your audience, especially you're working with spirit-based entrepreneurs. So I'm thinking these are kind of mediums. And if I'm wrong, please tell me because that's what this title is speaking to. So we might need to change some more words. So mediums, energy healers, people that understand the word spirit as a entity. So that's one branding piece that could use work. Let's go ahead and look at the content. So a letter from this Business of Spirit founder, Lily Lee. Dear Spirit-centered business owner. So right away we know who the target market is, Spirit-centered business owners. So if they are, like I said, someone that like an energy healer or a spirit medium, those kinds of things, they will recognize themselves in that. If that's not what you're talking about, then we need to work on that. Becoming a success by helping and empowering thousands of people with your work is, and I mean this, the most important calling on the planet right now. Now more than ever do people need what you have to offer. I want to acknowledge and honor your desire to be someone who makes a difference to others. Simply by virtue of you reading this letter right now tells me that you are an individual who is brave enough to seek out their purpose and make a positive impact on the lives of others. So this is a nice introduction. However, there's really no reason for me to read this yet. We don't have a headline up here that's going to tell me, what I'm going to get out of reading this. So chances are, I'm looking for a solution. Nowhere in this first two paragraphs is it telling me what the problem I'm having or what a solution might be or what I'm going to get out of reading this really long page. So this could be changed if you put a headline at the top that is results oriented and basically is telling them what they're going to find by reading this page. And then you could also shorten this up. So you're basically saying, this is what you do and this is so important. So, this is good because you understand them, you're talking about who the target market is. At this point, you could move into what the problem is. So now more than ever, do people need what you have to offer? Now you can move into the problem of, what problem they might be experiencing. I would probably shorten that up because we keep going and we're talking about, again, a little bit more about the business. You talk a little bit about yourself. I'm still not sure how this is relevant. So you're talking about how you've been successful and that why, creating success isn't just about knowing the path to take. So I'm still wondering what is the point here? So as a reader, I'm wondering what are you getting at? These pieces are important because you're demonstrating your credibility and you are speaking to the target market, but these are also things that could be given as reasons for why they should work with you lower on the page. So if we're following that structure, problems, result, solution, and your solution, the your solution piece would be where you're building your credibility. So that's where you start talking about the work that you've done and how the mistakes you've made have led you to creating this particular system. So then we scroll down because we're talking more. So my mistakes were painful, yet they provided me with real teachings on what not to do. We still haven't talked about what they may be doing wrong or the problem they are experiencing. So then we have the business of spirit model gives you the roadmap to make your purpose real. So now we have a program, but I'm still not sure what the problem is that it's solving. So if I'm looking at make your purpose real, are you talking about bringing their business and the purpose of their business into reality? Because if that's the case, then you need to be talking about that way before this. You need to be talking about how, as a spirit entrepreneur, you may have this really deep purpose, but you're having a hard time bringing it to reality because da 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 da, or you might be experiencing these problems da 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 da. Then you present the business model, spirit model, as your solution. And then the description of, this is what you're going to help them do. That's great. Real change begins when you feel supported by doing what you love. So this is a reason why they should be working with you. So it fits under the why your solution it would be at the bottom of the page in that structure I gave you. If you're clear about your life's work, but know little to nothing about running a business, this is a problem. Ding, ding, ding. This is something that you need to be talking about way before now. Get clear on how you're targeting. So then you're talking about, again, the results that you're promising in this program. And then we're talking about it's funny because I said this above, that now you'd be talking about your own experiences, and you kind of do right here, methods garnered from my own stumbles and failures and techniques that are proven to work. So this is where you might expand a little bit into your credibility and your experiences. So then we have how to run your business while helping others through your work. So now we're talking about, what it would be the result if you were to do this program. And then we have the call to action. So I would say that from about here down works. I mean, yes, there are, some nitpicky improvements we could make, but from here down, you're talking about the solution, why your solution, building your credibility. I think you could add some pieces in there from above, but everything above here needs to be more geared toward the reader, not just explaining who you are and kind of what your path has been. We need to talk about the person that is reading this and the problems they're having and how they're going to solve those problems. So this is the only page I had submitted for this particular site. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down and start opening the other page. All right, and I am not seeing any questions, so let's go ahead and move on to website number 3. So this is a homepage for Sweet Pixels Design, which actually I'm not going to tell you what kind of company it is because it should be apparent by the content, right? Tagline is because people do judge a book by its cover. So the way this page is laid out, we have at the very top, we have a logo to the left. We have the tagline to the right with the navigation. And then below that are 3 boxes that are horizontally across the page with this text in them. We have services and pricing. Attract more readers with images that clearly represent your writing, fantastic book covers, and coordinated suite of social media graphics, which enhance your professional image and your sales. I really like this paragraph, because it's giving a result, it's giving why your services will help them. Like, this is a really solid paragraph. The problem is, I don't know who the target market is for this page. I don't know who, I don't know if this page is for me, because readers could mean many different things. So attract more readers. So is this for, you know, there's just so many different types of businesses that might need readers. And I don't know if you're talking about physical readers, online readers. There's just, it could be a lot clearer. And I'm going to get a little bit more into this as we go down. So I use all of my graphic design, branding, and marketing skills gained from over 17 years of working and playing online to make your publishing look great and sell better too. So I would really like to see, instead of an about, which is just a credential, which should be on your about page, you want to have your credential, which is that, you know, you've been working for 17 years in this field, and that you do these certain things. When we're looking at about, we want to know why. We want to know why you. And I'm pretty sure that there's more to you and why your method is the best than just the experience that you have. So what is your unique approach here? And that was what I would put in that short about section. And then contact, have questions or comments or need more information, contact me, that's fine. So then at the very bottom of the page, so we have the 3 boxes that go horizontally across. Then we have this little bit of text down in the footer. And this is where suddenly we talk about the target market. This should be much higher on the page. Are you a writer? Are you reaching customers through social media channels like Facebook and Twitter, selling ebooks or information products via online, Kindle, Lulu, or CreateSpace? Attracting your fans is easier when your images clearly represent what you do. A fantastic book cover and coordinated suite of social media graphics will enhance your professionalism and increase your marketing reach. So this is a really good, you know, again, a good result and a solution to what they need. This part where we're talking about reaching social media channels like Facebook, Twitter, selling ebooks, it's a little bit too much. There's just basically a listing here of different websites, which I think you could really sum up much quicker. And also, what kind of writer are we talking about? Are these for fiction writers? Are they for business writers? What type of content are people marketing? And what is the problem that they're having? And then and then we say it down here. Here it is. Again, too far down on the page. Even in this section, it's still at the bottom. I work with independent publishers and self-published authors, fiction, nonfiction, and information products, who are overwhelmed with the conflicting information and confusing technical requirements for image design. You have so much to do already when you're a self-publisher. Focus on what you do best, and I'll handle the graphics. Great. I would just keep that. So this who you work with needs to be front and center at the top of the page. This could even be above those 3 boxes if you wanted to. And so then we have I'll handle the graphics, and then below that we have services and pricing, about, and contact. The other thing that I want to note about your homepage is that there is no opt-in offer, and this just might have to do with your business model, though I'm a firm believer that any online business, you should have an opt-in offer and be building a newsletter so that you can start creating a list of prospects so that you can sell your programs more consistently. So let's say if I click on the services and pricing page, this is what I get. So this is, I'm just put an excerpt here because, like I said, if we look at one summary, then you can apply it to all of them. So we have services and pricing page. So I use all my graphics, design, and branding. So again, this is your credential. What I want to see here is more of this. So more of the why. Why you? Why your approach? Why your methodology? Because this services page, you're not going to be following the sales page outline that I gave everyone in the beginning, because your services are a little bit different. A menu of offerings works well for you. You have low price point product. You're a designer, which is pretty much already understand what you do. What we want to know is why you. So you have, maybe 1 or 2 paragraph space here, space for 1 or 2 paragraphs about your methodology and the results that someone's going to get by working with you specifically. And the experience you have is helpful, but that's not what's going to make me hire a designer. I could care less if a designer has been working for 20 years or 2 years, as long as the result they're going to give me is the best for what I'm looking for, or what they're going to solve my problem in the best way. So I would put a little bit more here about your methodology and save this part for your about page. And even on your about page, you still want to drive home your methodology and why you. And I did not review your about page, so you might do a little bit of that, and you can pull it over to this page too. Don't worry about repeating yourself on your different pages, because you want each page to stand alone. You don't want to assume that someone's going to read all of your pages, because I guarantee they won't. You'll have a few people that, like me, that are very detail oriented, and before I hire someone, I will read every shred of information online about them. But that's a very small subset of your clients. You want to have each page stand alone, and make sure that on the services page, because they might land just on the services page, that it's clear who you work with, the problem that you solve, and why you are darn good at it. And the why you're darn good at it has a lot less to do with your credentials and more to do with your viewpoint and your approach. So I hope that is helpful. And then we have, so then this is fine as a description, ebook and ebook cover design packages. Someone that is coming to get an ebook cover design knows what that is. All they really want to know is what's included. And that's what you have listed here. And you have your pricing, it's very clear, that's fine. That's why we want to have the kind of catch-all methodology and approach stuff at the top, because then that kind of applies to all of the menu items below it. And that is it. So if you have questions, please type them into the chat. I do see that there's one there right now. And while more are coming in, let's just talk about what we're going to be covering next week. So we're getting to the end of the year. And if you've been with me for a couple years, I know, we have some LOBoratory peeps that, this is, what are we working on, our 3rd year? You guys have been with me from the beginning. So you know that every fall I create a bucket list for the next year, because we talk about this every year. And a bucket list is basically a list of goals. So instead of making a bucket list for all the things I want to do at the end of my life, by the end of my life, I do a bucket list of all the things I want to do in the next year. Some of them are personal, personal goals that I have, or things that I want to do that I think would be awesomely fun. And then some of them are business related, marketing goals, financial goals, projects that I want to complete. And I try to make a list of 100. And the reason why we do it this way, and actually, you know what, I'm not going to go into too much detail here because this is what we're talking about next week. But what I wanted to introduce you to is that over the next 4 weeks, so starting next week, we're going to do workshops. So typically on the LOBoratory calls, we are doing, I present a topic and then we do some Q&A. But I want to try something a little bit different. And I want to do workshops with you guys to actually apply some of this stuff. So what we're going to do is next week, we're going to do an introduction to what a bucket list is and how it works. And after that, each week we will tackle a different area of your bucket list and actually work on it. So I think that this is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope that you'll join us over the next couple of weeks. And what we're going to do is make a pretty kick-butt plan for 2015. Because really now is the time that you want to start planning for next year. Even though we have a couple months left, the more you start stewing and thinking now, the more ideas you're going to have and inspiration and be able to take action when January 1st rolls around. All right, so Ada asks, and this is a private question, she asks, what is a good opt-in program to use? So this is a really good question. I'm not sure if you mean like what a good opt-in offer would be or what kind of software to use. So I'm going to answer both because we have a few minutes and you're the only question. So you asked this question when we were looking at the Sweet Pixel design page. So a good opt-in offer would be something that answers a question or solves a problem for the target audience. So you want to look at your prospects and ask, what is the biggest challenge that they're facing right now? And then your opt-in offer answers that biggest challenge. So if my biggest challenge is that, you know, my ebook looks terrible on Amazon, then a good opt-in offer would be how to make your ebook cover stand out on Amazon. And then you give step-by-step instructions, or you give a little bit of theory. This is a great way to demonstrate again your viewpoint and why they should be hiring you. And that would be a good opt-in offer. So take the biggest challenge and create an answer for it. If you're talking about software, then that also depends on where you are in your business and the type of business you have. For most coaches, especially when you're starting out, I recommend AWeber. And it's a low price program. It's very easy to use. It integrates with most of the software you're going to be using, like shopping carts, merchant accounts, customer relationship management, project management, all those things that you might be using in your business connect with AWeber for the most part. And it's only $19 a month, and it will handle gathering your database of people, sending your newsletter out, sending out autoresponders. So when someone opts in, they get the freebie that they signed up for. And that's also what generates that form that goes on your website. Because I see, Ada, you asked, what is the program to embed in my website opt-in? Yes, so that would be AWeber. That's a good solid option for most coaches. So you create your list, and then you create the embed code and you paste it on your website, and then when people enter their name and email address, they're added to that specific list and they get the emails that you set up to go out when someone opts in. So I hope that answers your question, Ada. If you are in the more advanced bracket, so your business is making at least 5 figures, so like mid 5 figures, usually I kind of put the cutoff at around 50,000 a year. Then you start moving into something like Infusionsoft or Entreport, which are a little bit more robust, and they have a lot more than just a list management service. So they automate your marketing, and they sell your programs, and they upsell and downsell, and help you. They take payments. They are your shopping cart, and they also help you build a relationship with customers and know everything about them, what they're looking at, when they opted in, where they came from, all of that information. And the reason why that's for more advanced users is mostly because the price point. Those programs are fairly expensive. You also need to have someone on hand usually to manage them because they're really complicated. And yeah, I think I'm going a little bit too much in detail on that. So if you guys have any follow-up questions, please feel free to ask. Maybe that's something that we'll talk about in the future. Ada says, thanks so much. Good, so I guess I answered that question. I don't see any other questions coming in, no comments. So I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week. I will see you next Wednesday when we will kick off our 2015 Bucket List Workshop series. So I'll talk soon, and bye everyone.